Hello students, welcome to your bio class. Students, we are going to discuss in detail about human heart in this video. The heart in human body is located in the chest cavity in between the two lungs and above the diaphragm. The narrow end of the heart is tilted towards the left. Shape of the heart is roughly triangular. Size of our heart is nearly equal to that of our closed fist. It is 12 centimeter in length and 9 centimeter in width. Children, heart is the only organ in our body which is made up of cardiac muscles. It is protected by a double-walled membranous covering which is called as pericardium. In between the two membranes of pericardium, pericardial fluid is present which acts as a lubricant and minimizes friction during heartbeat and also protects the heart from any mechanical injuries. Function of heart is very important. It pumps oxygenated blood to all the parts of our body, and that is why it is called as the pumping organ of our body. Human heart is made up of 4 chambers, as you can see in this diagram. The upper 2 chambers are called as auricles or atria. The lower 2 chambers are called as ventricles. Auricles are upper thin-walled chambers which are actually the receiving chambers of the heart. Right auricle receives deoxygenated blood from various body parts through vena cava. Left auricle receives oxygenated blood from the lungs through pulmonary vein. Ventricles are the lower thick-walled pumping chambers of the heart. Right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs through pulmonary artery. Left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood to the body parts through aorta. The sequential manner in which the blood flows through the chambers of the heart is called cardiac cycle. It is also called as heartbeat. One cardiac cycle lasts for 0.85 seconds. Children, in previous slide I discussed about systole and diastole. Let's see what are these things. Systole is the contraction of the heart chambers. Diastole is the relaxation of the heart chambers. Let's see what are different types of blood vessels which are associated with the heart. These are pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, aorta, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and coronary artery. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to the lungs for oxygenation. Pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left auricle. Aorta carries oxygenated blood from left ventricle to different body parts. Superior or anterior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from the organs above the heart to the right auricle. Inferior or posterior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from organs which are below the heart to the right auricle. Coronary artery supplies oxygenated blood to the walls of the heart or cardiac muscles. Valve is a muscular structure which prevents backflow of blood and maintains unidirectional force. There are 4 valves in the heart. First one is the tricuspid valve. It prevents the backflow of blood from right ventricle to right auricle. Bicuspid valve or mitral valve prevents backflow of blood from left ventricle into left auricle during ventricular systole. Pulmonary semilunar valve prevents backflow of blood from pulmonary artery into right ventricle during the ventricular diastole. Aortic semilunar valve prevents backflow of blood from aorta into left ventricle during ventricular diastole. Students, if you hear your heart sound by placing a stethoscope on your chest, you will hear two sounds, lub and dub. Lub is produced at the sharp closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valves, whereas dub is produced due to sharp closure of aortic and pulmonary valves. Let's see circulation of blood in detail. There is a natural pacemaker called as sinoatrial node located in the upper wall of the right auricle close to the opening of the superior vena cava. It initiates the impulse for the heartbeat and regulates it. When auricles goes under systole or contraction, deoxygenated blood moves from right auricle to right ventricle and oxygenated blood moves from left auricle to left ventricle. The auricular systole is followed by ventricular systole, during which deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle moves into pulmonary artery, which takes it into the lungs for oxygenation. After oxygenation, oxygenated blood is brought into left auricle by pulmonary vein. The oxygenated blood from left auricle then moves to the left ventricle, and from left ventricle it is finally pumped into aorta, which carries it to the various body parts. Deoxygenated blood from various body parts again comes back to right auricle through vena cavas. The superior vena cava, as we have discussed, brings deoxygenated blood from the upper body parts, and inferior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from the lower body parts. As you can see in this diagram, the right part of the heart and the left part of the heart is completely separated from one another through the muscular wall called as septum. Septum prevents the intermixing of the deoxygenated blood and the oxygenated blood.